Hello, everyone. Welcome to another CG Boss podcast update. It's CG Boss here. It's already 2025 November. At the time of this recording, it's going to be the end of November when it's published. 2026 is coming around, and already I'm thinking about what, I want to do next year for, CG Boss. I think primarily I'm going to be a game studio first. I'm not going to, content creation and all that. I've been thinking about some of these things, YouTube, Substack, what are my goals as a game studio, which is, to publish a game, right? I think that's the main goal I've been thinking about for next year, right? The reason why I'm like doing YouTube, Substack is to just get my hands a bit into what is it like to do content creation and see what is it like. We're going to delve into some of these thoughts here about that, making games. So I actually started, I think in 2024, doing Substack. It was experiment just to see whether I can, share things on my website. I used to have a website, right? I think on WordPress, and then after that, I decided to switch over to newsletters because I think Substack was getting a bit popular. So I started writing just like a weekly newsletter. Managed to grow it to about 80 over users or something that subscribe. There's quite a few gamers here on this channel. Yeah, it's been not easy to try to what do you call find attention online these days because it's so fragmented with so many platforms, right? But I do think that as a primarily game creators, we have to find a way to, I guess, document your work somewhere. So Substack, I think, is a way to go. I have also put some effort back into revitalizing my blog to just also own some content of my own somewhere on my own domain. I think that's where the strategy is. You got to have a bit of still. You're gonna have like different what we call verticals, which is like vertical one could be YouTube, Substack, Twitter, Instagram, different vertical, and then your own website. In the old days, it used to be you have all these social platforms that point back to your own website, right? So I think there was this tab here. If I show you, it's here. So in the old days, it was like this. All the different platforms go back here. But now you have what we call customer siloed channels, and everything is its own little loops here. There's like little marketing loop cycles. So game marketing is no different. So I thought of just using some of these tools to see what it's like to grab to see how to gain subscribers. Yeah. The other thing I've been always itching to try is YouTube. Because YouTube, I do believe, is the next. It has always been, I guess, not the next. Even though Substack has videos, but I believe YouTube is it's still the mainstay platform for gaming because gaming is such a visual medium, and it's the place where you put your trailers, your developer updates, and all that. Even though I do think some YouTubers have been shifting over to Substack because of the video thing, right? TikTok, yeah, they've been trying to get TikTok creators, which is the same strategy as I think they were trying to get. I think Spotify also tried to do that, But yeah, I still think YouTube is the place to be, for what's that, uh, gaming content. Yeah. So I think like places like YouTube is still a place where I think I want to retry again. I do think that I may have to use some ads or something to grow it. I have no idea yet, but something to think about. Yeah, for next year, how to do YouTube in a sustainable way that it's not so like resource heavy. I'm still working out something simple on like Riverside and something simple. I don't want to take up too much resources to just pump out videos every week because that's not my main goal, right? My main goal is still to build games and ship them on Steam. Next I want to just talk about some of the not really the games, but I had a bit of false starts, a few false starts this year. I tried different game engines. I tried to make a game, and of course, it didn't work out as I thought it will be. It takes longer than I expected, right? Because games, like I said, like it's like multidiscipline. You got like art, you got code, you got sound, you got even different marketing. Marketing is like so different now than back in the day. Just go to a show the booths. I mean, it still happens. You can just have a booth. I went to TGS recently, and yeah, there's a lot of interest in gaming. I don't know whether there's a lot of sales. There's also different monetization methods, like a lot of free to play. I'm not sure if people got cash to pay for games now. Free to play is one, but you got to be very careful about if you're going down that route, it's not so simple on to get users into your game ecosystem. But anyway, the thinking of like scaling, one thing I learned is I think I learned from the how to market a game, and the guy that did the We Harvest Shadow Whaley, I guess he says about cutting your games in half. Don't make it too big. Make things smaller. Definitely smaller, because games take so long to make. I think you want to try to make simple games that you can make quick, test out, and then move on. Because you also need to get one thing I learned is you need to get experience, and that's kind of not easy if you're doing it alone. So I guess make it small. Make it small. Yeah. Then if you can have a big team, yeah, I think that's useful. But I'm not sure about managing that. But yeah. The other thing that I'm thinking of more for next year is to really focus in more on Steam. You got the Valve Steam, what's that thing called? Steam machines, right? That they recently, uh, showed off. It's a very good play on the ecosystem that they have. I think there was a guy, Trent Kaniuga, I'm butchering his name, Kaniuga, right? He, I think, came out a video about this, on about what's the thing about why the Steam machines make sense for solo developers or indie developers, because I think one point he brought up was about what's that thing called? Having to port games over to different platforms such as PlayStation. He, I think, mentioned that if you can just write the code once, and I think not pay I think you got to pay license fees. I'm not so sure. He has some experience in that. I don't. It made me think about if you can have one software that you can like distribute to the different platforms, which is the Steam Deck, Steam Machine. VR, I'm not so sure whether you have to do tweaks, but technically speaking, Steam has, I think, a way using there's something called emulation called Proton, to, even though they're running Linux, they are able to emulate your Windows app into like to run it on their Steam Deck, their Steam OS, which is Linux based. So I think that can save time, and use Steam as a test market. I did read somewhere from Take Two that Steam is the PC is going to be the dominant thing, and I think that's what Microsoft was trying to pivot to, the Xbox, where they were going to like be an or just put Windows in the Xbox, just like what they wanted, and the basically run Windows right on the every box, but they're just missing the tablet. That's it, the phone, Windows Phone, right? I think Valve beat them to it. Having the, at least for a gaming ecosystem, it makes sense where it's you have the handhelds, you have a desktop console thing, and you have VR. I'm still cautious about VR. I think it may be interesting. I did see some demos at TGS, and it's still a bit niche, but I think there can be some interesting use cases for games at home where you want to be really immersed. So I think that probably where the Steam machine comes in, because they have the new Steam frame where it's, I think, has less wires. It doesn't have as much. I think it's here, right? Yeah. Compared to their first Valve Steam VR, so this is like version 2. It's a bit more like the Meta Quest. So, and they have something that I think a lot of good games on it. There's so many developers developing. There's quite a number of VR titles there, I believe. Even Sony has their own VR headset, but I think it's still quite clunky from what I see. So we'll see. This one I don't know, but I do think that with Valve's push, if you, I think one goal I have, I did think that PC might be another, what do you call it? Like this is like another vertical compared to mobile, but with Steam having that ecosystem for developers to have both a portable device, desktop PC, desktop console, and a VR thing, they have covered a whole ecosystem around their own platform and software compared to, say, like, I think Apple just has mobile or Android, right? So that's a whole different market, which I'm not so sure how to break into that because it requires so much advertising nowadays. And the Steam audience, like, it's a bit like YouTube, I guess. It's a niche gaming audience. At least it's more focused. Whereas on mobile, I feel that the gaming ecosystem can be super. I mean, there's other apps to distract you like TikTok and all that, right? And YouTube and other entertainment devices. So yeah, I do think this is something next year as I want to just explore more and find out. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So what I mean, I don't know what your goals as indies are, but these are some of the things I'm thinking about. Just trying to figure out what's the next step for as indie, both on the content creation side and the game development side. So yeah, just rambling out now. But anyway, thanks for listening to this video. Hopefully you have the goal set for next year for your indie dev journey and design and game dev journey. So we'll see. I'll see you next year. All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.